Okay guys, here we are with the G-Scale Ash Pit Kit. It's all made in Hydrocal except for the base, and this is an extruded plastic. You could always go to Home Depot and buy a ceramic tile if you had a certain color you liked or you wanted a different texture in the bottom. This just works really well, especially for an indoor layout. It builds up really nicely. Right here is the finished one. What you need to make sure you do before you, when you get this kit, is go ahead and make sure you clean off all the flashing. You can just take a regular piece of a sanding block and just clean the edges up all the way around. This is done in Hydrocal, so it will color up really nicely if you use, I use acrylic washes on this. I just used a gray for like a cinder block, and then I used a concrete stain. It's the aged concrete that one of the Floquils or Model I forgot which one it was, but I used that and then come back with alcohol washes to give it the to fill in the colors. This goes together really simple. I'm gonna show you kind of just how to put it together really quick. The whole thing, after it's colored, was glued together with 5-minute epoxy. How I did it, let me pull this back over. Now, the good thing about this kit, you can situate the ash pit pretty much, you know, to the left or to the right. You can move the ramp on whichever side you need. This piece of plastic here is just slightly oversized. What I like having on hand is a bunch of these machinist square blocks. Kind of keeps everything squared up. But what you want to do is, these pieces here are all the same, but they're interchangeable. You could take it and you can flip it, and it'll give you a different block configuration. So what you need to do is, like, if you get that cleaned up, you get it colored. What I do is I generally start on the back side, put me a straight edge on the back, and I'll glue that first one in place, because that'll give me a good 90-degree piece here. The next one I do, now you got to see that in the finished piece with the ramp, the outside pieces here are glued and to the inside pieces. You need them both, make sure they're both the same, that you have these two pieces in here and then the outside ones are glued to it. That gives you, make sure it's nice and square and the same length. All right, what I'm going to do here is I glue that one on, and I'll go ahead and I'll make me a 90-degree mark here, and I'll glue this one in place. Okay, that gives me my half a square. All right, and I may come from the inside here to hold that up. Then I come back and I go ahead and I prefer to glue. Get this cleaned off. Go ahead and glue this one in place, and then you can come back, and this one you can go ahead and apply your glue down each side and along the bottom, and glue this in place. So that's pretty much it's easily done. What you want to make sure is that you get it all trial fit before you put any glue in it. Okay. The next piece is your ramp. It's a solid piece of Hydrocal. Now I made it where it's got the kind of the rough concrete look on both sides, so it's a mold onto itself. What you can do is you can put your ramp any direction you want. You put it this way, you can flip it around, come down that side, or change it to the opposite side entirely. The one thing you need to do is, whichever side you decide to go to, make sure it squares up along the edge. You may have to, say you want to put it up against this edge, you may have to clean this off a little bit. Not up top here, but clean this off a little bit here. And then on the back side to make it fit up into the corner really well. Because when I make the molds, I do keep, when I'm pouring it, I do keep these sides up. But even a real mold, you may have a little bit of a bow, like that they pour in the real concrete, have a little bit of a bow there, according to how well they put the forms up against it. But anyway, so what you're going to do is just have to clean that side off, whichever one, and glue it in place. Now, what I do next is I take a piece of whatever track you're using. I'm using Micro Engineering Code 250. And I figure out where my track's going to go. And I just cut this piece and use it to mock this up. But what I do is I lay it in there, and you can set this however far over you want or how far that way. And what I generally do then is I take and I mark it exactly where the center of the rail comes across. And I make sure it's the same distance here as it is there. Once I mark that, you have these individual pieces here. And you need to clean these up around. And I glue them, after they're painted or colored, glue them in place wherever that track came across. You may have to sand a little bit on the back or on the bottom, but the short block right there goes to the top. And you're going to put all 4 of these in place. Now these are not sanded, so they're not going to, might not set perfect. But anyway, what you're going to do, what this does, it sets up the support for the rail support. All right. Then you have the third piece, which separates the 2 sides of the ash pit, and you're going to sand this, make sure it's nice and flat, clean the sides up, and you'll glue that dead in the center. All right. With your kit, there will be supplied 2 pieces of wood, and you need to sand these really nice and smooth. And what these will do, these will fit right in here, and that will be your rail supports as you go across. You just have to glue those in place. Alright, now once you get all this set up and glued in place, it's ready to be, you can install it onto your layout. It goes together really fast, it looks really good, and you can color it up however you want. This one I haven't added any ash or soot to, and I'll do that once it's totally installed into my layout. So I just wanted to go over how to put that together really quick. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, TyzPlanes.com. There's a phone number and an email address there. It goes together really quick. It's a neat little kit and adds to your scene. So I hope you enjoy putting it together, and I hope it looks good for you.